Dun, 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 dun. And I forgot a hat. What do you know? That's better. Okay, now it's Saturday. All right, see if y'all can see me and hear me, and we'll get this thing going here. So moving on along. There we go. Undercover, Catwoman, Joe Cook, Adam Hoffman, Tom Cheney, RL, Aloha Joe. Okay, cool. Happy Saturday, guys. I'm sitting here watching the Tennessee-Georgia game, and it looks like Georgia's about ready to either tie or take the lead. So when we're done, I'll probably catch somewhere around the fourth quarter, maybe late in the third. But hope you all had a good Saturday. It was a busy one around here. Got my garlic in. That was a good thing. So Mrs. P was out there helping with me. Then we did something that was a little maybe prepperish, if you will. I don't know if you guys saw the video earlier this week. Maybe it was last weekend even. About these gangs up in New York, at least, and I'm assuming this is happening in other places, that are committing insurance fraud. And the video in particular that Mrs. P saw, and I had seen it beforehand, was a car had driven up on the highway, on state highway type thing, got in front of a car, slammed on the brakes, and then backed into somebody. And people jump out of the car, oh, my neck, and they've got a camera, and then all of a sudden realize there was a dash cam on the car they had just backed into. And all of a sudden they're all freaking out. And so Mrs. P, as you guys know, is learning how to drive. And so she's worried about stuff like that. And I'm figuring, okay, you got TDA coming into Kentucky. You've got unhinged people, not political, I'm just saying overall, that are pissed off about anything. And who knows what's going to happen. So Mrs. P did some research, and she found some dash cams. And so we spent the afternoon, well, about an hour per car, on installing dash cams. It wasn't bad. It was like $90 for them. And these were 4K dash cams, whole 9 yards, that worked really well. So that was the other thing we wound up doing today, and got those in, and then went out and did a little test drive to make sure they all worked well and were set right. So that was pretty good. So that was another thing. The nice advantage to it is the cameras stay on all the time. Yeah, there's like a trickle drain from the battery. Okay, fine, so be it. But that's just, each car has front and back dash cams. So front windshield, rear windshield. So that's 4 more cameras we added to the property, because if anybody walks around over there, we've got them on another camera. So there's advantage to it. That is all Wi-Fi, I guess, if you will, straight to our phones. So, literally I could look at my phone and see what's going on out the back of my car right now if I wanted to, or my truck. So maybe just an idea. Wasn't that expensive, a little bit safe. And hey, somebody pulls any sort of stunt, great. I got something to show the cops. I got something to show the insurance company. Hey, it's not my fault. So who knows what it would be. But in this day and age, we all know we're on camera wherever we go. I just put 4 more in the world. That's it. So if anything, it's a little idea for peace of mind, safety. I mean, I did get rear-ended, about 2 years ago, I guess it will. And I mean, it wasn't a big deal. I mean, the guy angled the bumper on my truck, and he knew he was wrong, and his insurance paid for it. But, it's not going to be one of these situations where it's like, you did this, and then it's my word against his word. And then, the insurance companies go, fine, we'll both take care of our own customers, and my rates will go up. So just saying. So that was it. I knew you guys were going to ask this as to what's a good one. I will tell you the one we got. You bear with me just a second so I can pull it up. Do. Here it is. It's called the Pelsee, P-E-L-S-E-E P1 Duo. And I will put the link there in the chat. Like I said, bought it on Amazon. So, and installation was pretty easy. Took us half an hour, 35 minutes per car. No big deal. Like I said, that's front end to back. Not sponsored, bought. And after doing some research and stuff like that, watching a bunch of YouTube videos on people that did, in fact, review it and look at it and stuff like that, I saw that it seemed to be a good one. Not great, okay. The one thing I wish it would tie into the screen on the car. If it does, I haven't figured out how to do it, but it was pretty easy to run the wires and everything like that, get it done. So, like I said, half an hour, 35 minutes, and we're done. So, not saying I'm recommending this or I got any deals or anything. It's just something that we bought, and I thought it was a good idea. So that was it. But that was the extent of my day. And other than that, by the time we got done with that, it was wrap a couple of Christmas presents and have dinner. And then I sat down to watch the UT game, and here we are. So if something happened in the world today, I don't know. I was busy all day. So that was it. So this will be a short monologue, if you will, tonight, but we'll get into more Q&A at that point. So let's kind of go over that real quick. If you've got questions for me, please put them in all caps. Makes it easier for me to find everything in the chat room. Again, if you're going to have conversations amongst yourselves, which I wholeheartedly endorse because I don't have all the answers, please do just keep it in lowercase. The only rule, as per normal, is that we treat everybody in here with respect and dignity, politely. Okay? Disagreement's fine. I don't care about that. We all have our different opinions. Hell, it could be something as stupid to where you live, all right? No, you can't plant cabbage this time of year. Well, sure you can if you live in Florida, but probably not gonna if you live in Maine. So, that's fine. But just do it politely if you disagree. That's all I ask, okay? If you want to be an asshole, you will go bye-bye. Of course, we will probably have people in here tonight because we've got all the moron trolls in here who think they're hot shit. We all know what their objective is. Oh, I'm going to go start a war with somebody, and then he'll mention my channel on his channel, and then everybody will come watch me. Guess what? I don't do that. I'll just call you an asshole. That's it. So you want to be nasty? I will too, but I will never mention your name. Got it. All right. Fun stuff. Let's get into Q&A. Let me get up here to the top, and we'll discuss what's on your mind. And if anybody wants to do me a favor, if you're watching the UT game, just keep me updated on the score. Mountaintop Preps, I figure you're good for that one at least. All right, first one here. I got to blow this up a little bit. My eyes aren't what they used to be. Here we go. It's easier. North Whittington Circle Farm. Should I till my garden in or wait till spring? Wait till spring. Okay. At this point of the year, what you should be doing is throwing organic material on top, any of your grass clippings, any of your shredded up leaves, preferably. You can put whole leaves on there, but shredded is going to be much better. Whether you ran over them with the lawnmower, whether you run them through a leaf shredder, something like that. You want to get that blanket on top of the soil with organic material so that come spring, those will have a chance to have broken down a bit, and then you can till it in. The key thing to that is make sure you make it like a compost, okay, greens and browns. So grass clippings, shredded up weeds, whatever it's going to be, your tomato plants, your pepper. I mean, I've still got pepper plants in the ground because Mrs. P was out picking peppers yesterday. It's the middle of November and we're still picking peppers. So we haven't even pulled those yet. But shred them up, That way you've got both the nitrogen and the carbon in the garden, so it can feed on each other even after in the spring when you till it in. Because if you just put leaves on the garden, you're going to have a whole lot of carbon in there, and it's going to deplete all the nitrogen that you want your plants to take up, trying to break down those leaves. So make sure you get something in there. If you don't have the opportunity to get grass clipping or greens or something like that, this would be a good time to go put your leaves to get that blanket and throw some nitrogen fertilizer. Lawn fertilizer is great, okay, because that's basically all nitrogen. Throw that on top just so there's something in there. But no, you don't need to till it now. You want a blanket on there to keep the soil warm, to keep those microorganisms, the worms, anything that's in there, keep it a little warmer for them. It'll give them some food to eat on. But that's what you're looking. You're putting it to bed. You're putting a blanket on it. Mary Marks. So is it time to plant garden bulbs in southern Indiana? Yes. You're close enough to me in the growing zones. If you're southern Indiana, my guess is you're probably what, 6A. Yeah, I'd be planting my garlic at this point. Again, if you're planting garlic, guys, and like here, it's still in the 60s, my garlic will probably sprout. Don't worry about it, okay? I mean, even if it gets 4 inches above the ground, who cares? Green, whatever, let it be. Garlic is super hardy, okay? The snow is not going to bother it. Garlic actually needs a couple of months of chill hours. That's why you plant it in the fall, because it needs those chill hours over the winter to produce bulbs in the spring and summer next year. So yes, if you're in southern Indiana, now is the time to get your garlic in. Booney June, do I know how much the U.S. has sent to Ukraine? Well, officially, from what I understand, it's about 200 billion. Whether or not that's true, who knows? Because they just keep funneling money over there, so it can keep going back into Joe's and Adams and Nancy's and Jerry's and Chuck's and everybody else's pockets. Okay. But the official number is somewhere around 200 billion. I will bet it's more than that. A lot more. Disney Mom 5. Thoughts on Biden pardoning Hunter? I really don't care. He doesn't deserve it. Okay. I mean, there's too many crimes he's committed, but I really don't care. Okay. It's a president's prerogative to pardon whomever at the end of his term. Well, it doesn't even have to be the end of his term, any time in his term. Okay. But if he pardons Hunter, okay. No harm, no foul. I don't agree with it, but because the evidence is there that Hunter actually committed these crimes, as opposed to pardons, which are usually given because they were over sentenced or the person was not really guilty or whatever. Hunter's really guilty and he hasn't been sentenced. But if Biden pardons Hunter, okay, that's one of the perks that comes with being president. Not going to take away. Do I really care? Hey, go knock up another stripper. Go do some more crack. That's fine by me. Just don't expect a state funeral when you die. Okay. Inigo Montoya, thank you for the super chat. It says pinball's favorite sport moment. Refrigerator Perry and the Bears win the big one. That would be a good one. I remember that. Was it 45-3 over the Patriots? And I was at DLI language school at the time, and my roommate was a big Patriots fan, and me, of course, that was a couple of years removed from living in Chicago. Still a Bears fan, and so he bet me on the game, who would clean our barracks room for a month. I had the Bears. I was pretty happy by about halftime. I was like, cool. I don't have to worry about scrubbing toilets or doing anything like that for a month. The Miracle on Ice. I remember where I was for that. I was living up in Michigan. Figure what I was 14. I just turned 14, and my dad was out in the backyard cutting down a tree stump, and I was inside watching a hockey game, and I came out the backyard screaming, "They won! They won! They won!" I mean, that was the game against the Russians, not the gold medal game. Down goes Buckner. I'm assuming you're talking with the Red Sox, because again, when we were kids living in Chicago, and for those of you in Eagle Montoya, you may know this. I know this is a long answer to this one, but fun stories, so you guys know something about me. So when we were kids living in Chicago, both my brother and I were big Cubs fans, and his favorite player was Bill Buckner, who was the first baseman for the Cubs, and my favorite player was Dave Kingman, who was the left fielder for the Cubs. You're talking about Buckner messing up on the ball with the Red Sox. That at that point, it didn't really matter to me. I never was a Red Sox fan. Then you go Kirk Gibson's home run. Which one? And we could talk about when he was with the Tigers when I was living up in Michigan, or you could talk about the one with the Dodgers, who let's see, when was it game? Was it game 6? It was either game 6 or game 7. I don't remember. But I remember because you guys have to understand. Up the street, living in Michigan, Oral Hershiser, who was one of the star pitchers for the Dodgers at the point, he, even though he's 3 or 4 years older than me, his family lived at the top end of the street where we lived at the bottom end of the street. So I played hockey and baseball with his younger brother, Judd. Judd was, I think, a year younger than I was. But yeah, Gibby's home run where nobody even expected him to play. But if I got to pick him out of those, I have to say the Miracle on Ice. I mean, there's no greater sports moment in American history to me, and I've always been a big hockey fan. But yeah, I mean, Super Bowls or World Series or something, that's one thing. The Miracle on Ice was a global thing. And I mean, that was pure American pride. So, and Pinball's Choice, if you come in there for the other ones, you pretty much probably picked some of the best moments in sports. So, but thank you for an off the wall question. That was fun. Okay, let's move on. Lorelei, Mr. P, would World War III breaking out keep Trump out and Biden in? No, it would not. Okay. Just like any other, I mean, you go World War I, you go World War II. I mean, not that we had any change in leadership. World War I was relatively short. World War II was FDR basically the whole way. But take a look at Vietnam. Okay, for example, Vietnam started under Kennedy, and we had all through Lyndon Johnson, and then you had Richard Nixon at the end. Okay, just because we are at war does not mean that the world stops. If World War III breaks out, no, Biden's still done in 66 days or whatever it is. That again, we're not going into whether the military throws them out. We go under martial law and stuff like that. If we're saying, okay, it's like every other time in the country, yeah, we still have natural progression of politics. Off-grid living. I have a container pot of strawberries. Can I bring it indoors for the winter or just cover it up outside with leaves? Either way would be fine. I really can't give you a preference. Again, I don't know where you live, whatever. Uh, if you are more south, leave it outside. If you are more north, where you're going to get a lot of snow, I'd bring it indoors. And that's the best I can give you. Strawberries will come back, but you're saying it's a container, so the runners make it a little more difficult. But I mean, strawberries are perennials, so you know. Uh, I, I'm thinking back because even being up in Michigan when I was younger, obviously, and it gets cold up in Michigan. Uh, Strawberries still came back every year. The container part is what throws me. I mean, if it's just one of those little strawberry jars, uh, I can't think what the orange stuff is called, the pot. Uh, those might not survive at all. But yeah, I'd stick with what I said originally. If you're down further south, leave it outdoors, or if you're up north, put it in the garage. That would be, you don't need it doesn't need to be 70 degrees or something like that. It doesn't need to be in the house. Country Humans Network, new business for Mr. Pinball. You can go storm chasing. No, no, not happening. Gizmo 9067 are willing to share what dash cams I got. I already did. Even gave you the link, so you're good. Rednecker Funk. I'm going to take a guess that's what that is. I don't know. I ran dash cam in my semi truck all the time and in my personal pickup. Good. Uh, I a lot of times I thought, it's like, okay, what's the point? Most people in Europe have them because drivers are crazy over there. Drivers are getting crazy here. And, when I was like, okay, it was $90. I'm like, that's not terribly expensive for a peace of mind because one accident or one stupid thing could cost me a hell of a lot more than $90. Susan Lathrop, isn't it a bit late for garlic? No, it's absolutely the right time to plant it. You should be planting garlic now because if you're in an area where it doesn't get cold over the winter, let's say you're down in South Texas, South Florida, you know, uh, Arizona, New Mexico, you need to put your garlic in the refrigerator for a couple of months. It needs those chill hours. Okay, that's normal. No, this is the time you should be planting garlic. It's the people that wait till spring to plant. That's when it's too late. And again, remember, I'm using my own garlic. I'm using what I grew last year off of what I grew. So I mean, I kept, a dozen, 13 heads of garlic and broke them out. We had 119 garlic cloves that we planted tonight. Yes, I counted them. And so this is from my garden. When you're buying them at the store or buying them online or something, maybe they've already pre-chilled them for the spring. Mine have been sitting in a box for 3 months in the laundry room, and they'll go out before the winter. Tammy K, mark the calendar to set car. Oh, okay. I was trying to figure. What are you talking about? Mark the calendar to set the car looking at the peach tree next harvest season. Yeah, okay. So this is my whole where'd all my peaches go, and I've got cameras on the car. Gotcha. Okay, get it. All right. Like, what are you talking about? Take me a second. Indiana Mom, can I link the dash cams I purchased? I already did. So I know you guys, again, please understand I'm 10, 15 minutes behind reading what you guys wrote. You probably wrote this stuff before I did it. I get it. Okay, but I'm still going through the comments. Susan M 1224, what brand is good to buy? I can't really tell you on that. Mrs. P did all the research on this, finding ones that were good, bad, and different, reading the reviews, et cetera, et cetera. She picked those. I listened to my wife. Happy wife, happy life. Okay, this is what she wanted. That's what we got. Okay. I did go back and read the stuff myself, but I didn't start doing a whole bunch of investigation after she'd already spent 4 or 5 hours doing it. Yeah, there we go. There's the link to the Amazon that I posted. So they should all have it. Essential Tam, dusted off the fedora, looking suave, Mister. I wear this more than anything else. It's just sometimes it's like, yeah, ball cap is more comfortable or whatever. But nah, it's like okay, winter. I mean, and again, I was born in the wrong generation. At the wrong. I should have lived in the 40s. Just because. When I worked in an office, suit and tie, okay, it was, and my dress, if you will, in the winter was I had my suit and tie on. I got a full length leather trench coat and my hat when it snowed. It's like, okay, I get on the train, go into Chicago, do whatever. Even when I was in Salt Lake, get on the train, go into work, do whatever. And that was how I went to work. Okay? I went, if I was in the office and I was dealing with clients, I was dressed to impress, not like this. Okay? So, yes, I've had this hat for decades, but good quality hat, still in good shape. Let's see. We need to get you a Stetson. Yeah, okay. Cowboy hats in Tennessee are not. You'd think maybe they would be. No, Tennessee, the state hat, if you will, is a ball cap. You do not see cowboy hats out here in Tennessee. Uh, don't ask me why. Hey, I didn't come here to change Tennessee. I came here because I wanted to live like they live. Okay? They got it right. Uh, have I had cowboy hats yet? When I lived down in Texas, yes, I did. Granted, that was over 30 years ago now. So yeah, the big difference when I'm in my mid 20s and when I'm in my late 50s. But do I know how to ride a horse? Yes. Has it been a long time since? A long time. Last time I rode a horse was probably about, I don't know, 2012, 2013, maybe at Brett's house when he was living in Utah and had horse on property. So rode the horse. So yeah, it's been at least a dozen years since I rode a horse, and before that was once when I was in Massachusetts, So, but I mean, it's been a long time. I mean, when I was living out in Colorado back when I was 19, I was riding a horse every day. But basically, when I learned how to ride a horse, yeah. As for having a Stetson, about the only time it's like this. It's about the only time I wear this is on the live stream. About the only time I wear a Stetson here. So, at least I get some use out of my hats. I don't have to worry about keeping my head warm in the winter around here. Let's see. North of the 52nd, garlic is poking out 8 inches above the straw due to the warm weather in 2 weeks. Is this a problem? As I said before, no, don't worry about it. Garlic is super hardy. It'll grow fine. If you want to, you could get out and plant your onions at this point, and you'd have good spring onions to pick. Onions are the same way. Your alliums like that are extremely hardy for winter temperatures. Now, you're not going to plant them up in Fargo, North Dakota or International Falls. They're going to freeze. But if your winters don't get down below 0, you're good. I'm not talking wind chill. I'm talking about ground temperature. So, even if the ground freezes, you'll be fine. They just go dormant until the ground thaws out and then they start growing again. Ernest Reeves, pinball, which do you think is better? A Blue Eddy AC 180 or an EcoFlow Delta 2? This is my first power bank for cam moving. Okay, I'm guessing there's typos in there. Or power outage. I'm not sure what cam moving is. Okay. 10 times out of 10, I'm picking an EcoFlow Delta 2. Bluetti is overpriced for what you get by about 50%. I would buy the EcoFlow 10 times out of 10. Not saying Bluetti isn't a fine product, it's just way overpriced. But comparatively between the two, everybody uses lithium iron phosphate. I mean, the batteries are the same. It wouldn't surprise me that the battery, the actual guts to the thing, for Bluetti or Jackery or Opus or EcoFlow or Afery or Ida Hill or Mango I wouldn't doubt that all the batteries are made in the same plant in China. And they're just, you put it in your case, you put it in your case, you put it in your case, slap your name on it and go. Okay. It wouldn't surprise. The batteries are all the same. How the plugins work and where the handles are, that may be different, but Bluetti's overpriced. Jamie Dolan, the peach trees are blooming here in southeast Kentucky. Holy crap. Though I will say this, one of my cherry trees, the new cherry tree we planted this year, has buds on it. I mean, they'll die off, if you will, and then we'll get the cold weather and go. But same thing with you and the peaches. You'll get your buds, and then the buds will die off, and it'll go dormant again. Miranda Babcock, whoops. And we just shot to the bottom as soon as I tried to read it. It said something about, can I recommend a wood chipper? Honestly, no, I can't. There's a million different wood chippers out there. Find one that is the right size for what you're doing. I mean, if you're doing little sticks like this and that's all you got, you might be able to get away with a little electric one. If you're trying to do freaking logs, you're going to need one that's got to be towed behind a truck. So, just find one that's made by a quality manufacturer, and that's the right size. That's the best thing I can say. Kevin Little, heard about some Venezuelan gangs here in Hudson Valley, New York. That's 3 hours east of us, head on a swivel, like you say. Yeah. Nicaragua is all over the place. I mean, MS-13 has been forgotten. They're still here, guys. Okay. And, you got the cartels which are involved. And don't forget, we've still got all the U.S. gangs that are operating too. Okay. And you're going to wind up with wars between all of those as they try to take territory or turf from each other. But you got to be careful wherever you go. And I mean, just because you're in the rural areas, don't think you're safe. Okay. You're safer. Okay. But these gangs are going, well, crap. There's stuff out there too, and there's nobody, steal a car, grab a kid. I mean, I've told you before about here in my little area, up in Tazewell, which is, population of what, 3,000 people or whatever it is. And there's been people that have been stalked in a Walmart parking lot. I told you a month ago about me getting followed out of the bank. Okay? Don't know if that's who that is. Okay. But I know I've told you stories up near Knoxville. I mean, this isn't in the city proper, and there's many stories about people getting stalked or even grabbed out of the Walmart parking lot up there. So, yeah, you have to be careful wherever you go. Andy, day after the election, I right-sided my flag. Yes, I did too. I was like, okay, by right, meaning putting putting it right side up, feel the stars on the top instead of on the bottom. No longer in distress. I actually replaced my flag and put up my MAGA flag as opposed because I wasn't hanging my MAGA flag upside down. So it's my American flag, MAGA flag, and Mrs. P will get me a new American flag for Christmas because that's one thing I get every year is a new flag for outside. So, and yes, then I go dispose of it properly. So, the old one. KRFJR 1410 Georgia. That's not making me happy. But thank you for telling me. Who's your daddy? Just installed 6 outdoor security cameras, and our dash cam is coming Monday. Good. I mean, this is how you stop them, guys. Okay. When all of a sudden there's cameras all over the place, that's a deterrent. And I know people will say all the time, "Oh, big deal. All you did was see who broke into your house." That's a good start. Okay. Again, it's one of these. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. If the bad guy sees there's cameras on this house, maybe I'm not going there. Hey, it's a good deterrent. Gee, if the bad guys go, "We broke into this house. Shit, we're on camera," and the cops sit there and go, guess what? We know this guy. Knock, knock, knock. Joe Smith, you're under arrest for burglary. Maybe the word gets around. Don't want to go into this neighborhood or this house or whatever it is. So, just saying. Peace of mind. Les Ross, hey, Pinball, watch you twice a day and also know that you can't have rabbits at your place, but I could have rabbits here if I wanted. I just can't have chickens. That you can't have rabbits at your place, but just wanted to let those that can, let those that can know it's the best prepping meat around freezing and canning. Rabbit is really good, no question. The only thing that everybody has to remember, and this is, I'm probably preaching to the choir here, is there is something called rabbit starvation, okay? Because there's next to no fat in a rabbit, and so you need to get the fats from somewhere. So, this is where you come up with, make sure you've got nuts, or make sure you've got tallow or lard or something, or ghee or something, because you're going to need those fats. If you get to the point of that's all you're eating is rabbit, because you're not getting it from vegetables, obviously, you're going to need fats. Otherwise, you can starve from eating just pure protein. Rabbit is wonderful, but you still need fat. Don't forget that. Autumn West about my flag. We just talked about that. No, it's already been, like I said, my flag says MAGA and damn proud of it. So, over the American flag. Yes, and I know somebody says, "Well, you shouldn't put anything over the American flag." Well, you know what? For this election, yeah, I'm gonna. Come Christmas, when I get the new one, it'll be just the American flag again, and that'll go up on January 20th. Flint McRock, I coached high school baseball for over 25 years. My wife said she's going to write a book, 1,001 Ways to be Called an Asshole. Sitting in the stands, she heard me call them all. That's one thing I'd love to do that you have is coaching high school baseball, because I played long enough, let's put it this way. Wasn't good enough to go anywhere with it, but I was a quality pitcher and a good hitter. Pitcher, first, and third were my positions. Used to joke as I got older when I was playing in an over 30 league one time and pitching, everybody was calling me Randy Johnson because I kind of tall and at that time a little more lanky, except I wasn't left-handed. But, my hair was a little longer at that point, too. Had a little bit more. I'd love to coach high school baseball. And I thought about it when we got out here. And then, of course, I find out that the county high school, I live in a county of 19,000 people, so we have one high school. Not like where I grew up in Michigan. We had 2 in the city that I didn't even live in. I want to go to that high school. But yeah, they were, I believe, state champs last year. So they're not going to take some guy who says, "Hey, I want to come here and volunteer to help." They're like, "No, you know what? We're looking for the state championship pitching coach or whatever." That I couldn't teach a kid a lot about pitching, but yeah, it is what it is. But I would I would relish doing that because I always loved playing baseball. Uh, Rick Mavich time. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name. I'm just kind of going as what looks like a Slavic name to me. 1 year later, sparkles still in the hat, like pine needles, like pine needles in a house after Christmas. I don't know if they're 1 year later because the wrapping paper sits right here in the corner, which is on the credenza right there where my hat sits. And as we've been wrapping Christmas gifts, uh, yeah, some sparkles could wind up in there. Speaking about Christmas gifts, if you guys have noticed, some people have, some people haven't. Below the videos lately, I've been putting the link to the holiday fundraiser. So doing it via Venmo because I got that one figured out. So if you want to donate to the holiday fundraiser, food bank, Toys for Tots, animal shelter, that's the way to do it electronically. If you want to send something through the mail, cash, or a check with the payee blank, money order with the payee blank, that's the only way to do it. Please do not make them out to Pinball Preparedness. I can't cash those. We probably had a few $1,000s worth of checks that were sent to me for the hurricane relief made out to Pinball Preparedness. Those all got returned because I can't do anything with them. So just telling you the only ways I can do stuff. That's what's going on there. Where's Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving's what? 10 days away? Thanksgiving's on the 28th. Okay. So on the 30th, which will be the first live stream after Thanksgiving. So every live stream between Thanksgiving and Christmas, if I'm not mistaken, that includes the day before. No, that includes Christmas Eve. I don't think we're going to that. Well, no, not don't think. I know we're not having a live stream on Christmas Eve. New Year's Eve, maybe. Christmas Eve, guaranteed we're not. Because Christmas Eve is when Mrs. P and I celebrate Christmas. Okay. So that's when we have our dinner and open presents and stuff like that. So no live stream on Christmas Eve. But every one of them between the Saturday after Thanksgiving and the Saturday before Christmas, that is when we do Mrs. P and my Christmas gifts to you guys. And so if you've been around here long enough, you know what we do is I hope you've been paying attention, trivia questions, because it'll be something that I've mentioned in a video, in a live stream. Usually it's something about me. Maybe it's about Mrs. P and about the dogs. Okay. But it's something that's just personal. It's not who do you vote for. Well, I guess, it's not like who do you think is going to be the assistant counsel to it's something personal that I've mentioned. And whoever answers it first in the chat room wins a prize. We get picked random. I've already got a bunch of them. You guys will like the prizes I've got this year. They are some nice stuff. So hope you're paying attention. Excuse me. All right. Let's see where we were. Sojourn 7 Pinball. Can you recommend a UPS backup for a wireless router? Brownouts or same? What I have the EcoFlow Delta River on mine. I mean, and it's a little generator. I mean, it's literally, I think it's like 5 pounds or 6 pounds or something like that. Uh, I mean, those things are like $100, and you get something. And the router's plugged in, that's plugged in, and that's fine. And my power. You guys know this. Your power flickers out for 5 seconds. You got to wait 10 minutes for your router to come back on. With the generator on there, the router doesn't go down, and I think 10 milliseconds or something like that, it kicks back in. Yeah, I mean, the river is the one I use, but we reviewed one here. I forget who it was from. I've done so many lately. A little one, but yeah, I mean, if you get anything that's a 300-watt generator or something like that, those are perfect for something like that. And I've got mine that is the backup to my router and the backup to my security cameras. That's it, for the screen to see it. That's all it runs. And I don't know if you caught that. We just had a power flicker. Okay. If you guys saw that, literally the lights just popped out. There was a beep and came right back on. That would have been enough right there to take out my router, but we're still here. That's hilarious. Gary and Matney, are eggshells good to put in now into the garden? Absolutely. Crush them up, throw them in the garden. You can throw those in anytime you want. It takes eggshells. I mean, the smaller you get them, if you can powder them, that's the best. Coffee grinder is great for something like that. But the more you put it in there, it's spreading calcium in the garden. It's giving food to the worms. You can put eggshells in 365 days a year, no problem. KS1 Big Dad 783 Pinball. Okay to load up the garden with ash from the burn pit? No. Okay. First off, I'm going to take a guess that when you're saying the burn pit, it's only firewood. Okay. Pine is not the greatest if you're doing, but it's still okay. All right. Hardwoods, everything like that are the best. But if you're throwing anything in your burn pit, as you called it, like garbage, plastics, treated wood, painted wood, varnished wood, anything like that, do not put that in the garden. You don't want to introduce those chemicals in there. If you're just burning firewood, then you're okay. The second thing is you have to do it sparingly. With ash, okay, maybe a solo cup full for every what would I say, 20 square feet or something like that, max. What is a better way to do it? And again, depends. When you have, if you're burning sticks or wood or whatever it is, at the end of the night when the fire goes out, when you're done, a lot of people will just let it burn out, right? Take your garden hose, take a bucket, whatever it is, and dump some water over that. You'll still have those chunks of, looks like charcoal or, the charred wood. That's actually better. That's biochar. Okay. Take that, stick it in a bucket for about a month or whatever with some water in it, and let that thing get totally saturated with soak in all the water. You're still going to have some wood in there. Break that up like charcoal and throw that in the garden. As David the Good puts it, that's like a hotel for microorganisms. That's great to put in there. You can put tons of that in the garden, no problem. But be careful with the ash. You don't want to put too much in there. You can actually poison your garden by putting too much ash in there. North Alabama hiking. Pinball, I feel like there are too many people letting their guard down after the election. I talked about this the other day. I've been telling them to raise their guard. What would you tell the people who think they don't need to prep? If the people that don't need to prep are, like I said, I did a video on this the other day. It's eerily quiet. The calm before the storm. I mentioned this today in the afternoon video about lawfare versus violence. there's still a lot of shock. People don't know what's going to happen. Trump doesn't have some magic wand. We're not going to be sunshine and rainbows on January 21st, guys. It just doesn't work that way. Okay? It's going to take a while to dig out of the disaster that Biden created. China doesn't care. North Korea doesn't care. Russia doesn't care. Iran doesn't care. The gangs don't care. Venezuela doesn't care. Cuba doesn't care. Who's president? They're like, if they're going to do something, they're going to do something. Oh, gee, Donald Trump's fingers on the button instead of Joe Biden's. That ain't going to be that much of a deterrent. Doesn't make a whole lot of difference. I'm not saying that World War III is inevitable, but Trump's not going to fix the economy on day one. China's not going, oh my God, we can't do anything in Taiwan on day one. Russia and Ukraine aren't going, oh crap, Trump's in the White House, that's the end of our war. Iran and Israel aren't going, gee, let's be buddies now. None of that's going to happen. Okay? The morons in England, Germany, whatever, aren't abandoning their Green New Deal crap. We're going to be net zero by 2030, and nobody's going to car, nobody can heat their house. That ain't happening. Okay, there's still a boatload of stupidity in the world, and there's still a boatload of stupidity in this country. I mean, there's idiots in my neighborhood. Okay, the guy that put his Harris Walls sign up, moron. Okay, all it takes is a little bit of this economic fallout. Answer me this: what's going to happen when Elon and Vivek go, Department of Government Efficiency, we're getting rid of 80% of the federal workers. You think they're going to be happy? I'm out of a job. I'm going to go burn down City Hall. Again, prepping should be common sense. Everybody should prep, and it's not because of economic turmoil. It's not because of World War III. It's because the little SHTF events that happen in each one of our lives, like a job loss, or like somebody gets sick, or you wreck your car, or whatever. Yeah, think about. Just give you this real quick. Okay. How many times have we heard the story that most Americans don't have $400 to bail themselves out of an emergency? In Joe's economy, what emergency is $400 going to bail you out of? $400 barely enough to buy a week's worth of groceries for a family of four. Groceries, maybe the family emergency. Gee, you know what? The transmission just dropped in my car. Great. That'll be $3,000 to fix it. Are you going to pay for that? Well, I'll put it on my credit card. Well, we have the most credit card debt in history again, this month. Yeah, the other ones, the Pentagon failed their seventh in a row annual audit today. So the government can't manage their money. Americans can't manage their money. But if you all of a sudden got to come up with $2,500, $3,000 to put a new transmission in your car, a new motor or something like that, hell, you need new tires, okay? People can't afford it. You don't have any credit for it. Well, where are we going to get the money, honey? Because I need to go to work. There's a lot of people that stress out about that. Well, we'll go take payday loans, or, maybe we can, sell Junior's baseball card collection, whatever. That's where people get. That's why you prep, going, oh, okay, you know what? We saved that money. The transmission went out. We need $3,000. You know what? It sucks that we got to take it out of our savings, but we got it. Even if you haven't got that far to have that savings. Damn, honey, we got to come up with $3,000. Where the hell are we going to come up with the money? Well, you know what, honey? We've been putting away so much food lately. For the next month, we can eat out of our food storage rather than buy groceries. It's going to suck. We're not going to have fresh milk or eggs or something like that, or lunch meat for a sandwich. But you know what? We've got enough flour. I can bake a loaf of bread. We bought enough peanut butter and jelly that we've got there, and the kids can take that to school for lunch. That's what it is. It's the little SHTFs that are more likely, that guaranteed those will affect everything. People are too hell bent on apocalyptic crap, and that's why you're prepping. No, you prep for the everyday events that are going to affect it. How many of us have been through a job loss, a layoff, got fired? Been there. How many of you have ever had car problems that were expensive? Been there. Okay. How many of you have ever had medical costs? Been there. All those things can be quickly alleviated going, I got stuff put back, whether it's money, whether it's food, whether it's whatever, okay, that you can shift assets from one place to another to solve that problem. And boy, guess what? Your blood pressure goes down. That's why everybody should prep. Okay? Because how many people are bitching about the cost of groceries? Oh, you've heard me say this a million times. Tomatoes are $4 a pound. Yeah, I grow all mine. A jar of tomato sauce costs you $5. I've got dozens of them. From my own tomatoes, it didn't cost me $4 a pound. You know, gee, guess what? All that savings does. Oh, all that savings that I stockpiled over time now can go pay for that transmission. Yeah, I mean, it builds on top of each other. But people are afraid to take that first step. Oh, you guys are just a bunch of crazy tinfoil hair wackos. Until you're hungry, until your transmission blows, until you lose your job, until Junior needs braces, then we're not so crazy. Wrong answer, huh? I'm passionate about this. I'm sorry. I think anybody that doesn't put something away for a rainy day is a effing moron. Jacqueline Presnell, how are my cabbage doing? Mine are beautiful, but just starting to head, hoping weather doesn't hurt them. Well, mine are still sitting on cups on the back patio because the hurricane kind of completely killed 3 weeks of time to do anything. So I am now, and I was telling Mrs. P this today, I am going to try to baby my seedlings over the winter. They are still sitting out on the picnic table on the back porch because it's still somewhat warm here. Still get some rain, but when it gets too cold for them to be outside, then I'm going to try to keep them alive in the greenhouse over the winter because for me, cabbage goes in Valentine's Day. So if I can keep them going, what's that, 3 months from now? I'll have all my seedlings more than ready to go. They should, I mean, they already look pretty good, but if I can keep them going, I've already grown them. Why not see if I can keep them going? Mine never made it in the ground because the world went to hell when I should have been planted. Huts John, Mr. P, last year I worked days and days to get leaves and had about 4 inches on top. Windstorm one night blew all away, tilled them in this time, just saying. Okay, so, and here's the thing to do with something like that. Wet weather, first off, you guys know what wet leaves look like. They just flatten out. Okay, so rain will help. You put dry leaves in there and then the wind blows them all away. If it's not going to rain a while, put some logs, put some sticks, put anything, put a tarp over it. But you got scrap piece of chain link fence, throw anything that can hold those leaves down until it can get wet. And then it's fine. Once it gets wet, it'll get compacted a little bit. It's better. I'm not going to say that, okay, you till them. It, you're not doing any damage other than it's it was just a lot of work that you're just going to have to do in the spring again. Just so the soil's not going to stay as warm. It may delay a little bit your planting in the spring by a week or so. 9:59. One more. Lori Curtis, Pinball. Any information on when dual fuel 3600 inverter generators looking to use for two tests? Okay, I have no idea who what a when do I know what dual fuel generators. I if when is a brand name or something like that, I've got no idea what it is. And at that point, it is 10 o'clock. And at that point, I'm going to go see if I can catch the end of the UT game. If it really looks bad, I'm going to bed early. But guys, have a good night. We'll see you in the morning. Pinball out.